Gotham Season 2, Episode 6, By Fire. Now, this was a nice second part to the last week's episode, and I think what it did really well was actually show off an interesting villain that was obviously a villain because she did technically kill people, but at the same time, she wanted to be some sort of a hero a little bit, and I thought that was actually a really interesting way to show off Firefly. I like the character herself because it's very different from the other Firefly that we normally get, which is actually an arsonist and just a straight up villain that burns places down. That's all Firefly really is. But this was sort of a in between sort of thing where she was forced to be the sort of generic, I guess, Firefly in the last episode by her brothers, but in this one she wants to be sort of a hero to people that are being hurt, and ultimately that does result in her seemingly dying at the end. I of course, like everybody, I think, thought, okay, well, sure, she has like this fireproof stuff so she can't get burned, but obviously she did because she's engulfed in flames. That's not going to do anything, and I thought she was going to die. And then we get the end of this episode, which was a nice little twist where some really weird stuff is going on there. Apparently, experiments on people that I guess just have certain skills or whatever. I don't know. But we find out that there's this place called Indian Hill, which is a subdivision of Wayne Enterprises. And they're doing all sorts of weird experiments on people. And it's just like this long hallway, just secret underground facility type stuff. And I don't know what that means for the show at all, but I'm very excited for it because it was really cool. I just thought this is a very weird thing for them to have in here, but it's a really big thing. Like, it's kind of like in the same on the same scale as our main villain, who's Galavan at this point. What he's trying to do and how he's trying to do things, this is sort of like the underground version of that, where we knew things were going on at Wayne Enterprises. That was talked about in the last season. And then we get to really see that they're just flat out doing experiments on people, like weird science experiments on humans and possibly changing them into something else. I don't know. But I was like, this is a nice little nod at the end of the episode to say there are really big things to come in this season. And I'm looking forward to that. I think it should be interesting. Depending on how they play it, I don't know if that's gonna. I highly doubt they're gonna go like actual supervillains in the show. Not this early at least, if they ever decide to do that. But the way that it was played was very interesting because it makes you wonder if that's how they're gonna do things. Because we've had supervillains before, and it was like during an episode where it was basically like a drug that would make people super strong. So we've had that before, and it could be similar to that, where people just have weird, scientific experiments done on them, and it changes them as a human. It changes some sense that they have, and it enhances it. They might get stronger, they might be able to see further, or hear way better, or something like that. So I'm not sure what these experiments are for, but they seem to take in special cases, which is why they take in Firefly, because she's, the rumors that she's fireproof. So they're going to be doing experiments on her. They had a bunch of people in there. There's one woman that got a pretty clear focus compared to everyone else, and she was kind of in like sort of a black outfit. I didn't see her face or anything. I just saw that it was a woman, and it just seemed like, even though it was really quick, it seemed like it was maybe a second or 2 seconds longer than it was on everybody else. So I don't know if she'll end up escaping or what, or it could just be random, but I feel like it was on purpose, that it was just a slightly a little bit longer shot when they went past her. But I like that little end because it does add a whole new element. It adds a really dangerous element to Wayne Enterprises because I was kind of thinking, like, I know they talked about, like, oh, Thomas Wayne probably got killed because of the stuff that he was involved in and it was really dangerous. But I wasn't thinking, like, human experiments. I just thought, like, they're dealing with some bad people maybe, or there's just weapons and stuff like that. Like, meh, that's all I was really thinking. My mind didn't go to full on human experimentation. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that was a nice little touch at the end of this episode. The other thing I really enjoyed was actually Selena's relationship with Firefly, because they were actually really close, and she cared a lot for this girl, and she trusted Jim, and he made his promise to kind of help Firefly out, and I can't think of her real name at all, but so I'm just going with Firefly. But he makes this promise to help her out, and Selena's like, okay, well, you help out my friend, and that's all there is to it. As long as she's safe. And things don't really work out that way. And I love the scene where she's at Jim's house, and she just has a shotgun on the dock, and they're just sitting there, and both of them are really calm, and I found that kind of funny. Like, you know, just no one was freaked out. It was just simple. Even when Jim came in, he was just like, "Oh, hey, like, oh, you got a shotgun to my girlfriend. No biggie. Like, you're only like, I don't know, 3 feet away, but who cares?" Just everybody was just super calm in that situation, and I just thought it was funny. Like, no one really felt like Selena was that much of a threat. And Selena, like, as soon as Jim came back, she kind of put the shotgun down anyway, which actually surprised me. But I guess it was just so that she wouldn't get the cops called on her before Jim got there. And she also had milk and cookies, so there was really zero issues. Either way, it was just like everyone's really calm in that situation, and it made it kind of funny, but it was fairly serious. And of course, when she finds out that her friend, or she thinks that her friend is dead, it has an effect. I don't know if that's going to really change things between Selena and Jim in the future, because of course the way it ends is that she doesn't want to deal with Jim anymore because he kind of screwed up and her friend got killed, so she thinks. And of course she goes and they have the ending scene and she's just sitting alone by herself crying. So I thought it was actually a really good episode for her character, and she helps her friend early on, like, we're gonna go rob this place and get a bunch of money. And it was just, I think it was actually a pretty good episode for Selena's character. I actually enjoyed it a lot. And even Bruce had some pretty interesting moments in this one. My favorite was the boxing moment. Like, I like the other stuff because it's, interesting seeing how Galavan and Tabitha are kind of manipulating um, Bruce with this little young relationship. But you can't really beat the scene with Bruce and Alfred boxing. And Bruce puts his guard down, and Alfred just punches him so hard he falls to the ground. I was like, man, like he doesn't mess around, but it was really funny. And even when Bruce bit him in the arm, and he was like, you bit me. It was like, well done. I was like, this is a nice little scene. Like, he's teaching him how to think outside the box and how to fight dirty, because not everyone's gonna, be a respectful fighter. They're gonna do crazy stuff. And so Bruce learned on the fly, and that was a cool scene, but wasn't as funny. Alfred hitting anybody lately has just been hilarious. Like, he slapped Selena, that's still hilarious to me. And then he just punches Bruce so hard he falls to the ground. So he's been doing some really funny just stuff. When it comes to characters that he isn't actively trying to hurt, he just not, it's just the funniest stuff to me. But I did enjoy that scene. And the stuff that happened at the end with Bruce and Galavan, where he's like, Galavan's trying to work his way into Wayne Enterprises, and he's acting like he cares and all this other stuff, and we still don't really know. I'm assuming that his only plan is to kill off Bruce with the blade as like the ultimate form of revenge, but I feel like there's got to be something else. There has to be, like, layered sort of revenge where he wants to take over the company, and then when he's at the top and he's kind of found some way to kick Bruce out, which probably wouldn't be too hard because you can, like, board of directors type of thing. People get voted out of their own companies all the time. So, try to work it out that way, and then his final piece of revenge would be like he kills off the last Wayne or something. But he's working up, he's working his way up. He's manipulating Bruce in a couple of different ways. So it's weird how that's working out, but it certainly is. Like, because obviously Bruce doesn't, no one knows anything about Gallifan except for Penguin and Butch now, who, after getting his hand chopped off, he gets an actual mallet, which made me think of someone else, and I don't know who it is. It just made me think of another character. It was like, just in my head when I saw him with that mallet on his hand. I feel like there's someone in the DC universe that actually has that, and I would assume they're related to Batman, but I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that makes me think of somebody, but I don't know who. So I don't know if Butch is actually meant to be a comic book character, just like in the early stages, so kind of like Nigma. But that, like, as soon as I saw that mallet, I was like, this makes me think of somebody, but I just don't know who. I could just be thinking of something totally different, but I feel like it's something I may have seen in like the Batman animated series or something like that. But I don't know. I could be wrong, like I said, but when I saw it, it just triggered something in my head. Like, this seems really familiar to me. But I did enjoy that. Him, having his hand chopped off, which was the crazy thing in the last episode. He's busted by Galavan, so I'm assuming Tabitha actually did get him kind of mentally right, but at the same time, we don't really know. He says he escaped, but that could have been a part of the plan. So I don't know. Like it's kind of that's like the big mystery right now because of course he goes to Penguin. He's like, "This is exactly where your mother is." That could be a total trap. There could be just a bunch of henchmen there waiting to kill Penguin and all of his people. But at the same time, Butch could no longer be under control, or he could still be under control. And he really did find out the location, which I don't know how he would, because all he saw was the TV. So, that's what kind of makes me think he's actually now fully free of mind control, and he's officially working for Galavan. And that doesn't bode too well for Penguin. Of course, it's Penguin, so we know he's going to live anyway, but it's still dangerous, and it'll be interesting to see how this exactly plays out, because he had all of his people loading up. Like, I didn't see a single bullet. Everything was like shotgun shells, so they're just going in with shotguns to destroy whoever's in their way. And like the only person I think really had a handgun was Butch, which I guess makes sense because he can't exactly pump a shotgun anymore, sadly. So I'm not sure if he's still under mind control or if that was just a part of the trick. But it did seem weird that he escaped. Like, he escaped, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly how Tabitha, like, choking a dude with a whip is gonna really get him out of mind control. But I don't know. Like, it's still a mystery. It's like, how did he escape? How did he really? The big thing is, how did he find out that information? Because from the TV, he's not gonna learn anything, and that's really the main part that makes me think he's not under mind control and he's gonna get Penguin killed. Because of course, not under mind control, Butch would probably choke Penguin to death himself. So he could still be under like semi mind control, and he can kind of work with it and stuff like that. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for that answer in the next episode for sure, and we'll see how this plays out. Because I don't know if things do go wrong. I feel like it could be dangerous, and we might lose Butch as a character, which we almost did in the last season. And I really hope we don't, because I still love his character. I really like him as a character, although he doesn't get to say as much like he used to, where he would make all the jokes and things. It doesn't get to really do that as much anymore, unfortunately. And it's only been 6 episodes, really, but still, not as much as he did because of the mind control. It obviously it changed him mentally, so he's not exactly the same. But I still like his character. I hope we don't lose him. But I certainly enjoyed that stuff. And then the Enigma thing, that was very surprising. That him screwing that up and saying that he killed Doherty was very surprising to me, because it was like, okay, so he said like he killed him and he was being honest about it, and of course she just laughed. And so it was like, okay, so she laughed. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Thank goodness he didn't screw it up again. And then he goes and he gets the badge, and it's like, see, I did this. And I feel like if he explained it in a certain way, I mean, he would have been lying, obviously, if he said, like, oh, he attacked me, he was going to kill me and then kill you. He would have been totally lying if he said that. But if he did, I feel like it would have been a little bit different. But at the same time, it probably wouldn't have been. And it wasn't exactly like I thought, but it kind of was. It was very similar, where Kringle decides like she's not gonna deal with Nigma because he killed a guy, and so that's pretty much it. It's like, well, I can't be with this guy, and then he's choking her and not realizing it, and he's like, I love you and this and that, and she gets killed. It was different because I thought for sure that he would just go crazy and be angry and just kill her on purpose, but in this case, it was like he was in an altered state of mind, obviously, but he didn't realize what he was doing as he was doing it, and that's what I think makes it the craziest, because he didn't realize that he was actually killing her that entire time he was talking with her. And she dies, and it's like, what does he do now? And now there's another person missing, and this is a character that everyone knows. Like, of course everyone knew Doherty as well, because he was a cop that worked there, but it's going to be a lot harder for him to get out of that, where it's like, oh, she disappeared, and, you're her boyfriend. he's going to be the one that has to answer all these weird questions. So I don't know how they're going to play this, because he's not so smart where he could just hide a body and it's like, oh, nothing happened. People are going to have questions. People are going to know, like, oh, well, you were her boyfriend, so he's going to have all these questions to answer. And I don't know how he's going to get out of it. I'm sure he will, because I don't think they're going to go full, Riddler, and he's just going to start killing people. But now I'm really excited to see where things go. It sucks that she died in this episode, but they're definitely, I think this was a pretty interesting one for his character, for sure. Because I like their relationship in general, because it was weird and it was just like, how long will this last? Just because it's him, and of course he screwed up that very first episode they had the date, and he's like, I'm glad he's dead. And then it was like, okay, well, he made that work somehow. And then this one, it was just like, yeah, he's dead. I killed him, and here's the proof. And he was smiling too when he showed her the badge, and that's what I was thinking. Like, he's smiling about it and stuff, and it's like he doesn't realize exactly what he did. And it's like, if he wasn't smiling, he's like, I had to do it because he was hurting you, and then when I confronted him, he, attacked me or something. It still wouldn't, like I said, it still wouldn't make a difference, because he killed the guy and totally hid it. But I don't know, I feel like he could have at least slightly explained it a little better. Like, it wasn't just, oh, I killed him just because. It was kind of like, well, he attacked me, and then I did go a little crazy, and I killed the guy. So, no matter what, he definitely killed him because he was insane, and he was, really infatuated with Miss Kringle. But we'll see how things play out. I'm definitely looking forward to his storyline in the next episode, because I don't know. I don't know where it could go, how he could get away with it, but I just feel like he's going to. And I hope it's done in a very cool Riddler type way. So I'm looking forward to it. I think this episode is actually pretty good. I think there's some cool stuff happening. Lots of questions in there, like the stuff with Butch. Probably the biggest question. Had some pretty cool moments. The ending was nice. It was a fairly emotional ending for the most part, because we have Enigma, who's dealing with the loss of someone he cares about, and he's the one who did it. Selena's dealing with the same loss. And then we have, this sort of altered relationship, which is already a weird relationship anyway, between Jim and Selena. But now it's like they could actually be against each other officially, because he failed to help out her friend, and now that's what she's going to think of when she thinks of Jim Gordon. So we have that, and then of course the Indian Hill thing at the end. So there's definitely some cool stuff that was done in this episode. Of course, though, I want to know what you guys thought, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I want to know what you guys think about Indian Hill. Like, I'm sure it's in the comics. I feel it sounds familiar to me. So I want to know what you guys think is going on with that, because I don't know, like I said, I don't know if we're going to get actual superpowered humans from it, but I feel like it's a pretty easy way to get that. Like, oh, we're doing scientific experiments, boom, superhumans. It seems like a very easy way to get to actual supervillains. But I want to know your speculations, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.